Hello there and welcome to CoreTV News on the hour with me, Sabina Izuku. Reports just reaching us say security agencies are battling to disperse some suspected opposition thugs in Bauchi State. Details of the confrontation are sketchy, but the incident coincides with the campaign rally of President Goodluck Jonathan in the Bauchi State capital. The convoy of the president was allegedly stoned by some hoodlums in Katsina State on Tuesday. We'll bring you more details in our subsequent bulletin. The National Orientation Agency wants Nigeria's leading political party to control their supporters in the run-up to the February elections. It says it's because of the rising wave of attacks and intimidation of political opponents in some parts of the country. The agency said in a statement that the recent spate of thuggery contravened the Abuja Accord on Non-Violence signed by all the presidential candidates. The Director General of the agency, Michael Mary, specifically condemns the attack on the convoy of President Goodluck Jonathan in Katsina State. He also warned candidates and their supporters to engage in issue-based campaign rather than hate speeches. A campaign rally by presidential candidates of the All Progressive Congress, Muhammadu, in Sokoto, was moved from the trade fair complex to the stadium following a bomb scare. CoreTV News gathered that at 5 a.m. on Thursday, a man on a motorcycle was seen making suspicious movement around the stadium, forcing agents to accost him. It was rumored that they discovered what looked like bomb on him, but the police have dismissed the report. The police spokesman in Sokoto State, El Mustafa Sani Sal, denied knowledge of any such incident and advised the people to go about their normal business. The trade fair complex was initially slated for the rally, but no explanation were given for the change in venue, which must have fueled the rumor. Buhari slept in Gusau, Faro State on Wednesday ahead of the rally. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, has made a formal request to Provincial Secondary School Kaduna to release his West African school certificates results. He also insisted that the graduate from the school, which is now known as Government College Kaduna State, alongside late General Shehu Yaradua and the former president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Umaru Abdullahi, in 1961. Buhari said at a news conference in Kano that he made the request because he was surprised the Army headquarters had no records of his certificates.
Much to my surprise, we are now told that although a record of the result is available, there are no copies of the certificates in my personal file. This is why I formally requested my old school, the Provincial Secondary School Kaduna, which is now known as Government College Kaduna, to make available the school's copy of the result of the Cambridge West African School Certificate. This will be made available to the press the moment this is available. However, before we obtain that, let me say for the record that I attended Provincial Secondary School Kaduna. I graduated in 1961 with many prominent Nigerians, including General Sheikh Musa Adwa, former Chief of Staff and Supreme Headquarters, and Justice Umar Abdullahi, a former President of the Court of Appeal. We sat for the University of Cambridge WASC examination together in 1961, the year we graduated. My examination number was 8200002, and I passed the examination in the second division.
The People's Democratic Party has called on the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, to turn himself up at the nearest police station for lying under oath over his educational qualification. It also wants the army to consider stripping him of his rights and privilege as a retired general because he was never qualified to join the military. Spokesman for PDP's Presidential Campaign Council, Femi Fani-Kayode, said at a news conference in Abuja that Buhari's action amounted to perjury. He also insisted that the APC should apologize to Nigerians over the matter.
Information reaching us now has shown that the presidential candidate for the All People's Congress, General Muhammadu Buhari, has disclosed today in Kano at a press conference that the affidavit he swore to, in which he claimed that his credentials were in the custody of the military, was not true after all. His words, I quote, "I had assumed all along that all my records were in the custody of the military secretary of the Nigerian army. Much to my surprise, we are now told that although a record of the result is available, there are no copies of the certificates in my personal file. This is why I formally requested my old school, the Provincial Secondary School Katsina, which is now known as Government College Katsina, to make available the school's copy of the result of the Cambridge West African School Certificate. This will be made available to the press the moment this is available." End of quote. Now, the implication of the action of this so-called Mr. Clean is nothing but perjury. And we all know that it is a grave criminal offense under our laws and constitution to lie under oath or to tell a lie in an affidavit. We urge Buhari and his party to do the right thing and tender an unreserved apology to the Nigerian people, throw in the towel, and report to the nearest police station for interrogation and prosecution. Anything less than that would be an insult to the collective intelligence and integrity of the Nigerian people. And we must remember that the international community are watching us. Anything less than that, I repeat, would be an insult to the collective intelligence and integrity of the Nigerian people. We also urge the Nigerian armed forces to consider the possibility of stripping him of his rank and privileges, given the fact that he was never qualified to join the Nigerian army as a commissioned officer in the first place, because he never had the prerequisite qualifications, which was a school certificate. Given this, at best, Buhari should never have been anything more than a non-commissioned officer.
The All Progressive Congress has raised the alarm over what turned moves by the Nigerian Communication Commission to stifle its fundraising drive for its presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari ahead of February polls. The party position was made known at a press briefing addressed by its National Publicity Secretary Lai Mohammed in Lagos. Kazim Kasali has more in this report and is presented from our studio.
The All Progressive Congress, as part of its preparations for the presidential election, had unveiled a platform described by the director of the fundraising team and Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola as one designed to raise money for the party's presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari.
It is a short messaging service, popularly known as text messaging. And for those who want to make payment by this mode, all they need to do is to text 35350. Again, if you want to pay by text message, please text 35350. But here, what happens is that the maximum that you can contribute by texting 35350 is 100 naira per one text message. That's the maximum.
According to the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lai Mohammed, the drive to raise money for its candidate is under threat from the federal government through the Nigerian Communications Commission.
They've chosen the National Communication Commission to strike at the ability of the All Progressives Congress to raise funds.
He added that the party has not broken any law with the use of the existing national telecommunications infrastructure and wondered why the government promises free and fair elections but take contrary steps.
There seems to be an orchestrated campaign to prevent our party, the APC, from using the new platforms of SMS, ringtones, and scratch card to raise funds for our campaign. By the way, legitimate fundraising is the norm around the world to finance electioneering campaign. Hence, we have not embarked on anything that is out of the ordinary by the measures that have been unveiled by Governor Fashola.
The alarm, according to the APC's national spokesman, became necessary, especially at this time in order to prevent every possible means by the ruling party using federal government's agencies and parastatals to muzzle the opposition ahead of the February presidential poll.
The All Progressive wants the report of the panel that investigated the Ministry of Aviation to be made public. There's more on this after the break. Just stay with us.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
I see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Welcome back to the news. For more information, you can reach us on our social media platform, and that's on facebook.com/CoreTV News, and on Twitter @CoreTV News NG, on our YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV and the news. The All Progressive Congress has challenged President Goodluck Jonathan to make public the report of the panel that investigated the Ministry of Aviation. Spokesman for the party presidential campaign organization, Garba Shehu, said in a statement that the president should not sweep the outcome under the carpet, as was the case in the previous corruption allegation under his administration. It recalled that the former Minister of Aviation, Stella Odua, was eased out of office following an allegation of graft and the setting up of a panel headed by the National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki. APC, however, noted that more than 3 months later, nothing has been heard on the investigation into the alleged corruption against the former Minister of Aviation. This is argued in spite of the submission of a report by the panel. The opposition party says it is further proof of lackluster disposition by the Jonathan administration to the fight against corruption. And away from that, the National Human Rights Commission is prepared to prosecute anyone found using hate speech and inciting language as a campaign tool. The Commission Chairman Chidi Odinkalu issued this threat at an interactive session with journalists in Abuja. He insisted that the Commission will not tolerate political comments that could spark up violence while soliciting the support of the media in the talks of lowering political tension. The report.
It's only a few weeks to general elections in Nigeria, and already the political atmosphere is charged. Individuals in the leading political parties have been hurling insults at one another and engaging in campaigns of calumny. Hate speeches have also been introduced, but the Human Rights Commission says it is determined to stop a trend that portends great danger to unity and peace. The Commission's chairman did not mince words in condemning what has now been tagged Death Wish advert sponsored by Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayose, as well as the New Year message delivered by a Catholic priest, Father Ejike Mbaka.
And you have heard us this morning say that what Governor Fayose did was unlawful. You've heard us this morning say that PDP is unlawful. You've heard us say this morning that that Father Mbaka breached the law not once but twice. And I say that as the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission. And now, let me tell you why I say that Father Mbaka what he did was unlawful.
Participants at the interactive forum all agreed that politicians and their supporters must exhibit decorum in their campaign in line with global best practices. However, many warned those operating social media should not use their platforms to fan embers of disunity and incite violence.
We have called you. We want us to discuss how do we ensure that certain things don't happen. The issue of enforcement comes after the event has occurred. And I want to also let you know that there are certain statements that can really throw this country into flames. And the issue of enforcement will become too late if the country is already aflame?
People are entitled to say what they like, but they are not entitled to make hate speech. So first and foremost for me, I think is enlightenment. The people, the media practitioner, even the editor, you ask many editors today, what is hate speech? And you ask another editor, you are likely to get different definition of what hate speech is. We need first to agree on what is hate speech. It is then that we can begin to check it.
As Nigerians gear up to the general elections, media practitioners have also been advised to abide by the code of ethics and professionalism guiding the practice.
Now let's turn attention to health. The federal government has confirmed that 7 states have recorded cases of bird flu virus. It also says the strain of the virus in the country is the H5N1 variant, which is known to have 60% fatality rate. Minister of Agriculture Akinwumi Additional has, however, dismissed fears of an epidemic, saying federal authorities have stepped up containment measures in collaboration with all the stakeholders. Additional said at a press briefing in Abuja that the affected states had received the necessary government intervention on depopulation, decontamination, and quarantine. He also noted that while it is still safe to eat poultry animals, Nigerians must adhere to standard precautions on storage, handling, and preparation. The Agriculture Minister wants poultry farmers to report all disease conditions to veterinary authorities, as well as ensure strict adherence to biosecurity measures.
We are not in any state of any epidemic. 7 states have so far reported the cases of the bird flu: Kano, Lagos, Ogun, Delta, Rivers, Edo, and Plateau states. To date, 21 commercial farms, 9 live bird markets, and 1 private zoo have been affected in the 7 states. As of today, January 21st, 2015, a total of 140,390 birds have been associated with bird flu exposures, with 22,573 making 16% of the affected bird population have recorded mortality. The most affected state has been Kano State, where the initial case of bird flu, the index case, was found. A total of 103,445 birds have reportedly been exposed to the infection in Kano State.
We'll just take another break, and when we return, we'll take you outside Nigeria. Just stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And outside Nigeria, experts say there are revelations that AirAsia flight QZ8501 climbed too fast before stalling and plunging into the sea, pointing to striking similarities between the Java Sea accident and the 2009 crash of the Air France jet. Indonesian Transport Minister Ignatius Jonan said the Airbus A320-200 was ascending at a rate of 6,000 feet. That's about 1,800 meters a minute before stalling as it flew in stormy weather last month from Indonesia, Surabaya to Singapore. That ascent is about 2 to 3 times the normal climb rate for a commercial jetliner, according to the experts. Indonesian divers recovered the plane's black boxes a week ago after an arduous search for the jet that crashed on December 28th last year with 162 people on board. The cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder are now being analyzed, with a preliminary report due next week. While they stressed the difficulty of drawing conclusions without seeing the full black box data, analysts said the accident had strong echoes of the crash of Air France Flight 447 into the Atlantic in 2009 with the loss of 228 lives.
It's possible to have a rate of climb of 6,000 feet per minute if you are in a very severe turbulence. And based on what they are asking before they lost contact, that they want to change altitude, I believe at that level they're experiencing a turbulence. That's why they are not asking for left or right to avoid the weather.
As to the similarities with Air France 447, first it went down over the water, secondly it went through the storm. Then we have the news of the airplane climbing up and then it fell to the sea. That's where the similarities end. Just because it is similar, it does not mean that the causes are the same. With regards to the preliminary report, for that not to be released, it is standard. Countries have a degree of discretion on whether they want to release the preliminary report or not. That's according to the ICAO Annex 13. Now, our law follows that, and we decided to not release the preliminary report.
And that wraps it up on the news on the hour. Do join us at the top of the hour for more. I am Sabana Zoku, and thank you very much indeed for watching.